Now see if it's picking up in Streamlabs.
Picking up, yep.
All right, cool. So guys, sorry we had some
Little intro.
volume issues, but
unplugged. I don't know how.
Eddie came in and clutch and fixed it very quickly. Anyway, guys, welcome back. Ghetto Rig episode 248. We have Yuri in the house. Nick wasn't able to make it, but he's probably going to be back next week. So we're going to introduce a new segment in where we're going to talk about more about stuff with the actual professional fighters, which will be very interesting in my opinion. Anyway, sponsors UFC Gym Largo and Pinellas Park. Do go check them out. Also Vitality 1 and 2. All right, without long further ado, welcome back, Yuri.
Thank you.
How's it? Oh wait, microphone.
Oh shit! God damn it!
We're all over the place.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Now we're back in business. Yuri, so now that you've been here for a couple of months now, how do you like it here?
Man, to me, Florida, number one place in the U.S. to live.
Because you've had a pretty good experience, because you've been all over the world, you've traveled different countries, and then you've lived for a long time in California, right? Like, what would you say is the biggest difference between Florida and California? Without getting necessarily into politics and stuff like that, but
Yeah, I think that's one of the main differences. I mean, I like that here a lot better because of that too. But I think the weather, to me, I'm more used to like humid, hot weather.
because in Rio is like this, right?
In Rio is more like this, yeah. So I think the weather is more like I'm more familiarized with that. I don't know, I deal better with this kind of weather. Sometimes,
hate it.
yeah, sometimes you do want to like some fresh wind and stuff like that. But I feel like overall, I feel like I train better. I'm in a better mood if there's heat. I think like worldwide, you see like the countries that are like in crazy poverty, but like they have heat.
Yeah.
Everybody has a smile. Then you have another country like Scandinavia. I mean, nothing against Scandinavia, beautiful place, but like one of the highest rate of suicide because dark,
It is.
cloudy.
As a matter of fact, Lithuania for
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Lithuania for many, many years in all the psychology books is listed as number one country where people committed self-deletions. You know what I mean?
I thought it
of the-
was South Korea because of their strict studies in universities, at least among college.
Well, they've
students and
changed, I'm sure. If you could
universities, very
pull
high.
up in Chat GPT, see what that says.
I mean, I would almost bet that the top 5 countries in the world, there are with that like people, they're not a place where there's a lot of heat.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think plus with the heat like that Caribbean that what do you call the climate zone, the tropical
Equator?
Equatorian tropical zone. I think most people are usually very family oriented. It's all about food and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and eating and sharing. And I think it's just across the board. It's like that. And
Our weather-
the further you go,
Our weather's just so weird. Like today, I was fishing, and it got hotter when the sun went down. The wind slowed down, and dude, the humidity just killed
It's
me.
humid, yeah.
It got so bad because there was wind blowing when I first went out there for the first hour and a half or so, and then right when the sun set, wind died down, and I was dying. I was literally fucking dying out there. It was bad, and usually in other places when the sun goes down, you get some cool that comes in, but it don't matter here in Florida. It's hot all year round, all day, all night. Go outside right now, and you'll start sweating.
you know what I want to talk to you about? Now, it was the second competition you went in here in Florida, and in my opinion, I think those guys do a very good job in putting it all together, organizing all that stuff. And it's a smaller competition.
Third
was
one.
Third one? Yeah. What is it? One thing you've noticed that not the competition itself, not the organizers, but the competitors themselves can improve on locally, right? Because this is local people that we're getting in, right?
Yeah.
They're like a positive criticism, I guess, or something that they do good and something that they do kind of they can improve
We'll have a
on.
good question after you answer this.
Yeah. So, first of all, I think Jay, and then what's the other one? I forgot. Jay is one of them, the taller one.
Yeah.
The other one, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
now. But I think they're doing great work with the freestyles, grapple freestyle, or freestyle
Freestyle
grappler.
grappler,
Freestyle grappler. I think that's a must for the local jiu-jitsu to thrive and to evolve. We need competition. I think I even said that here before. The competition is where you get your feedback and you go back to the office, you fix your mistakes and stuff. So we need that, and they're doing a good job with being consistent with the tournaments. I think that it's hard for me to just give one specific advice because I think at different levels there are different issues that I see. I think like one thing I notice, but that could even be in another place for like local tournaments, like especially lower belts. They could focus more on keeping positions, yeah, like keeping good positions. You get side control. You work so hard to get there, and like sometimes like a cowboy fight, you're in side control top, then you go on bottom side control, then you're top, you're just blue, 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 blue. There's no control. So I think like learning when you're in a good position and like learning how to keep a good position, that could be like game changing. Like there were matches where people were winning, they were ahead, and then they got flipped just because they had no clue on balance or on positioning, just positioning awareness and weight distribution and basic stuff like that. And they got flipped and they ended up losing the match, a match that could be pretty much guarantee win, which was more like, the person who was on top flaw than actual, like, a skill from the person on bottom. It was more like he messing up with his balance, something like that. So I think more like position awareness on top, like when you're in good position, be a little bit tighter, more balance, learn how to do your weight distribution while on top. I think there are like a lot of things I could point out, but that's one of the things that people could definitely benefit if they start working on that. The beginners mainly, yeah.
Do you see after? I mean, you've traveled. I mean, all over the world basically, in going to different tournaments. And do you see that certain areas have certain Brazilian jiu-jitsu styles, whether it be in gi or no gi, like by the not even necessarily the state, but a certain country or how it may be. I mean, we know, like for example, the Dagestani is known for wrestling, but that's not even necessarily jiu-jitsu. I mean, within jiu-jitsu, do you see different areas having different styles?
Yeah, for sure. I think different parts of the world, people have different physical attributes. Some people like I've trained a lot of Polish people. They are very strong, but they have that brute strength and like isometric hold strength. And then you mentioned about Dagestani. They're very athletic. They're very strong, but very athletic. Crazy grip. Like crazy strong grips and like more movement.
Mm-hmm.
Not as isometric as
More scrappy
Polish.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
more scrappy. You know, Africans are really explosive. They when you roll them, they're very like they go 0 to 100. So there's like physical differences with people that are from different regions and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that could be due to their life routine, their nutrition, like just stuff like cultural stuff like that, and then there's also jiu-jitsu style. I think like it's more to do with the school and the background of the coach than the region itself.
Okay.
But I would say like top places in America right now, for sure, California would probably be number one. Texas, especially Austin. Like if you put Texas, other places is pretty like even compared to most states in America. I'm saying like America is either first or second in the world right now in jiu-jitsu. All the Brazilian champions came to here. Now they're American champions here also. There's a lot of tournaments here. So I think everywhere, most places are they're in a good level. So I think if you put like regular places in like all towns in Texas is probably matching, the other states of the U.S. like a decent level. But then you have Austin, you have a lot of really good guys in that one town. So it'd probably be California first and Austin specifically in Texas second. Then you would have like New York, New Jersey, Florida third. I don't know which one would be first, but I think those places definitely
And
top four.
have
Yeah,
you seen
Vegas also top 5, I think probably.
have you seen like noticed that the guys in even within the United States have different styles by their region, or is it just school by school like you were saying?
More like school.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that there's like a reference in that school, there's a reference in the town that could inspire people to do game around more of
Right.
that style. But I think that's usually more to do with their school, their
The
coach.
school
Some
and
people are more
background.
like wrestling heavy. Some people are more like guard playing, leg locks, stuff like that. That I think is more to do with the school. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. You know, you always talk about like we see in striking, right, and something that's like kickboxing. You have like the Dutch styles and the different styles that you see around the world with kickboxing, and I never really had it broken down. I mean, I've heard about it in grappling, of course. We hear about American wrestling and, you know, Russian wrestling and, you know, in Japanese with Jiu-Jitsu and Judo and things like that. But I never had it broken down to just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to kind of see what the different strengths were around the globe.
You mean compared to grappling or like within Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Within Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a more of a school thing, but like, yeah, you have people who are more top pressure passing. There are people that are more acrobatic passing. They pass more far away. You know, like I mean schools. When I say people, I mean schools. And then like other teams are heavily focused on leg locks, guard playing.
Yeah.
I think the teams are the ones I mentioned that are on top, the places that are on top, they're pretty well rounded. Now like things are going to a direction where like if you're just good on takedown and top and you don't have guard, you're behind. If you're just good on guard and you don't have top and you takedown, you're behind. And it's so much that I think like now even the takedown game is becoming very specific for grappling, right? Like you saw that in MMA where there were separate styles of martial arts and it was vale tudo, one style against another style, and then eventually they put 2-3 styles together, but they were still styles like striking, wrestling, ground mixed, right? And then they became one thing.
Right.
So now it's like it's one thing in the sense of like it's not just takedowns; it's takedowns for grappling. It's becoming more, you know, specifically around high level around the rule set.
Yeah, because when you look at wrestling, right, they commit to takedowns and accomplish takedowns with zero worry for submission, right? So it's, you know, zero worry for a neck or an arm or a leg.
Especially guillotines. And things
especially
like
the neck.
They can really go for the takedown without that fear, you know.
Exactly. Versus in no gi and gi jiu-jitsu, you have to worry about that fear.
You have to be very precise with your shots. You know, you can't be so sluggish. You often see wrestlers that are good. They go to the gym and you go against a guy that doesn't have a good wrestling, but he'll catch him a few times with guillotine.
Yeah.
And then you see the wrestler slows down his game because now he's like, okay, I have to worry about this and this.
Yeah,
like,
you have to start watching stuff.
He wasn't even thinking about that, you know. So it slows down the match standing, what makes it so you have to be more precise. I mean, you can't go there and just shoot. There's a high risk that people can just, you know, take your back, catch you in a choke or something like that.
And guillotine, I feel like guillotine is almost like a vitamin for wrestlers, right? Like you can explain it to them, like don't shoot on the outside, shoot on the inside, but they won't do it until you catch them a couple of times in a guillotine. You catch them a couple of times in a guillotine, and now they're like, okay, I know this is gonna come, so let me just kind of reset. It's almost like preventative. Like you can tell them about it, but they just kind of like forget it until they get caught. Once they get caught enough, after the third, fourth time, they're like, okay, I can't be doing this shit anymore, you know, because I'm losing. How do I prevent it?
And, you know, people always talk about when wrestlers transition to jiu-jitsu, how good their top pressure is, right? You know, in wrestling, that's what it's all about, is maintaining yourself on top, never being on bottom, never having your shoulders to the mat kind of thing. But it's also interesting to see because these wrestlers will establish top position, and there are a lot of moves in jiu-jitsu that you can pull off from bottom position. Whether in almost any of the positions, whether you feel like you're being dominated or whatever, there can be certain things that as a wrestler they don't see those gaps because they're just worried about establishing that position, not necessarily protecting a limb or protecting their neck or anything like that.
You know what's funny to see wrestlers put on a gi, and then like the first round that they go with the gi, and then they're like, bro, my forearms are burning. I don't know what to do. Like I have veins on my palms. I've never seen that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
plus when you have the grip on the wrestler, you take away a lot of his ability to take you down because especially American wrestlers, they'll shoot a lot. They'll go high crouch, single, ankle picks, all that, like, you know, doubles. It's a lot of shoot. There's not a lot of as much clinch wrestling as the Eastern European style. So they will expose, as they shoot a lot. First of all, they're more vulnerable for guillotine and stuff like that. But also with a gi, once you get the collar, that's it.
They
There's
can't
like
close
now
that space
there
so
yeah
easily.
now there is something stopping them from getting close to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they don't know how to deal with the grip. Now we're talking about judo. You know,
Yeah.
where judo back in the day used to be a lot more like wrestling with the gi because you could do all the throws like double legs, fireman carry, you name it. You know, single legs, all of it you could do in judo. Then Eastern European guys, Iranians, Russians, they start winning a lot, and the Japanese just like fuck that. They start taking out double legs. First, they try to do it just as a counter, then they removed it altogether. I think they went back on allowing some things with as a counter.
Is the fireman's carry that's banned from judo?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. It is banned if you reach the leg, but there are other variations that they learn how to do it without the leg once they adapt. But there were people like there was this guy in Brazil. He was a gold medalist. His name is João Derli, and he was a gold medalist in 2007, I think. Right in the 2007 after Olympics. I think it was in 2007 Olympics. Right after João Joao space DERLI. Yeah, that guy. I think he won in 2007 his Olympic, and he retired because he was a guy that would win everything with fireman carry. They banned fireman carry. He was retired. A lot of guys like him stopped judo altogether when they thought it was bullshit. I think it's bullshit because at the end of the day, the reason behind it, the purpose is the martial arts is, that's the foundation, the fundamental of it. So you're taking away things, it's just limiting a lot more. Yeah, people are a lot better now with hip throws, with foot sweeps. That made them better because that's all they can do.
Mm-hmm.
But you're taking out a lot of things that, like, isn't the focus to take down? Then
And you
should
remove
allow
someone's whole game kind of
Yes,
thing.
Well,
yes.
in judo also, what I didn't like in judo is like, you take somebody down. It's like, even though it's supposed to be like a grappling, but you're not really grappling that much. It's more about concentrated around taking down somebody, right? You take them down, and if it's like 3 seconds, you don't do anything, you got to stand back
In
up.
judo, yeah, if there's no action, it's like maybe 6 seconds.
I think it's between 4 and
5,
6.
6 seconds, yeah. But then if you're like in a scramble, I think they can allow up to 2. Back then, it was more. It was could go up to 40 seconds on the ground, something like that.
Because I remember
Now it's a lot faster. But if you're like on the way of pinning, they will let go, I think, up to, 10, 20 seconds, depending.
Because I remember when I was in Sambo, we would go to judo competitions, and that was very easy for us to win because the minute you would take somebody down and you would just pin them there and hold them there for the duration, they would call it because that was done. You won the match, right? Like, that was it, because we didn't have to go, because in Sambo we could do leg locks. In judo, you couldn't do leg locks. Right, and we knew that they can do chokes, but we never practiced chokes, right? So you just had to watch out for the chokes and then just pin them to the ground, and then you won, right?
Yeah, that also I think has to do with a lot of, that has a lot to do with this, with the type of school they come from, especially in judo. Like back to what we were talking about, some countries are terrible on the ground on judo. Some countries are amazing on the waza. They call it waza. I used to train in Brazil in one of the academies where a lot of the national players would come train. So teams from Germany, Israel, blah, 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 all countries would come. Judo teams, they would come before competitions, big tournaments, and they would train there. And I remember they were German judokas, and they would just, on turtle guard, when in turtle guard, they would just stay real tight there. They wouldn't try to scrap or anything and hold the other guy's sleeve and just basically stall because they know that in the match you come up against. So they're not really focused on the ground. They're just trying to survive so they can stand up and score with a takedown. And then there are places where, like in Brazil, judokas always had good ground. Even though people think, but it's jiu-jitsu. But the Judo Federation was always very controlling. Like, for example, you probably heard about Flávio Canto, the Canto choke.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the main guys in Brazil. I think he got third in the Olympics. And his ground in judo was probably the best of all times in judo, right? And he was winning tournaments in jiu-jitsu when he was blue, purple belt. And I think the Judo Federation told him, you have to pick and choose now. You either compete in jiu-jitsu or judo. If you compete in jiu-jitsu, you cannot do judo anymore. Jiu-jitsu would never do that, the Jiu-Jitsu Confederation, but judo would do that. But because in Brazil maybe there's a lot more access to ground stuff, a lot of the judokas there they always had good ground compared to judokas anywhere else in the world, you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That make a lot of sense. But now, what do you think? How do you think like the world kind of because these Russian fighters are like coming in and they're really like doing. I mean, even the evolution, right? Like if you see Khabib's first fight to like his last fights, I mean the way he was punching and stuff like that, but he was still able to win with his grappling. Like how do you think like going forward? How are they gonna deal with it?
Just I think that's just it's like go back into Horace Gracie time. How are you gonna deal with it? Eventually, there's someone that deals with it and change the game.
But Marab dealt with it.
Yes and no.
Because
He dealt with it, but he also didn't fight the A-game guy from that team, right? So he dealt with it on the best guy on his division.
In his
Now,
division,
when you're talking about on that style right now, currently, I would probably name the best guys on that style that Jay style, the Habib style, Hamza and Islam. Maybe Ilya third. Ilya's ground is underestimated. He's really good. I
He's
saw
never
him.
really got it.
I saw a video of him like raw dogging fucking what's his name? Mirab.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw a video of him dominating him on the ground.
Yeah.
Again, training's training.
And
That
he's
doesn't
also
say-
bigger.
Yeah, I mean maybe he was in the camp. There's a lot of factors, but I've heard from many people, and then I
Yeah.
saw him rolling. I was like, he's good.
He hasn't really been able to exhibit it though in the octagon yet, right? He hasn't been able to show it off.
He didn't need right.
He hasn't
knocked
need to,
people,
yeah.
yeah.
But I agree with you. It's just like you said back in the day for Gracie. Oh, how are we gonna deal with this? How are we gonna deal with this? Somebody's gonna come along.
Felix in the chat
and deal
What's
with
up,
it.
Felix?
You know, I mean, even we saw a style like Volkanovski where the first fight with Islam was extremely close, very very close. The very first fight.
Which one? The one with the
Volkanovski
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Islam,
yeah.
the one that went to the decision. That was a very very close fight. And you know, there was a lot of controversial thoughts on that one, on who won, right? Now, of course, the second one, there's nothing to talk about there. But in the first one, right, we saw someone that came in and was able to deal with that style a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of time. More and more people are going to start focusing on wrestling and defensive wrestling, and also being able to, I think, being able to offer a little bit of offensive wrestling as well for those guys, because the grapplers, they think they take a big advantage from the fact that they can they feel like they're the only ones that have the offensive in the offensive advantage in the grappling, right? So like we saw in Charles Oliveira and Arman Sarukian.
Yeah.
I feel like they both went into that fight thinking that, right? Like, I have the advantage with grappling. And so they were both trying to go for offensive moves during the grappling exchanges, versus when one guy knows he doesn't have that offensive grappling in him against the other one, he won't even try and scrap. He's just looking to survive and get back to his feet, right? And so I think when the other guy can have some confidence and ability, and not only the confidence, but mainly the ability to offer some offensive wrestling against these guys, then it'll start to mix up more and more.
Well, what do you think is going to happen now? Because they get scheduled this now, November 8th, I think, Arman Sarukian with Patty Pimblett.
I don't see.
I think Arman would win the fight.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because I think the reason they did that because Ilya said something. Remember at his last fight after the fight, he's like, "Yeah, I want to smash that guy. I hate him."
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And I think they're like, "Okay, well, these are the two
That's
guys."
a perfect match because they two are the ones who talking the most shit with Ilya, right?
I'm gonna root for the.
I don't know if
underdog
Arman talks that much shit.
I mean,
He's
not
just-
a little
he's-
bit.
Yeah, he
not-
does.
not
He does.
talking shit enough to try to get him.
Yeah, he posted a video the other day of him chasing down a bird, going, "Ilya, no, Ilya, come here, Ilya." That shit was funny, and he caught it and goes, "It's okay, Ilya, it's okay." It's okay.
But I think like a lot behind the success of those Caucasus mountain guys, it's they do the basics, man. You know, it comes down to like discipline. Sounds so cliche, but they eat, pray, train, sleep, repeat. They eat, pray, train, sleep, repeat. You know, there's something about having access to so much social media, so much internet, and this and that. They're spooling a lot of the guys, and those guys, I don't see them getting so distracted with that. I think like they come from a very, they come from schools of strong foundation, they come from they do their training, the baseline training, athleticism since they're kids, and they, they don't do wrong stuff. They do what they're supposed to do. They eat, sleep, train, repeat, and that's it. And sounds so common, but a lot of people don't do that. You have guys that will train for, they'll do a camp for a fight, and after the camp they'll go out, they do this and that. Those guys don't do that. They fight. After the fight, they rest. They go back into training a few days later. There are guys that stay weeks out. Then they just started taking it serious when they're in the camp. When those guys took a few days off and they're already back in training. So they leave their lifestyle, And I think it comes down to that, Fighters are more disciplined. Usually they'll have more luck, it's not really luck, but success. You look at McGregor, how disciplined and how he was a visionary. He saw things. He had visualization training. He was training hard. He was doing not just training hard. He was training smart, right? Maybe he wasn't training harder than the Dagestani guys, but when he came up, he was only focused on training. And now you see McGregor how it is now. He has a lot of money. Maybe he doesn't have the drive to train and stuff, but you see the difference, right? How he was when he was just training. It's just common sense. Mm-hmm. You put more time into that, you have more focus into that, more discipline, more results will come out of it. And I think those guys live their life. They're not just leaving that in a training camp. They live their life 24/7, and I think that's showing on the results.
Now, do you think? Because I like to think the life is hard no matter where you are. But for whatever reason, in some of these third world countries where life even supposed to be even harder than United States, but somehow they're able to carve it out. Because in United States, you kind of the life literally gets in your way. Life is easier here, but it actually gets in the way because you have to go, you have to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. And sometimes that gets in the way of your training. Where those guys there, they're just I know life is hard, we need to do all this, but then they somehow find time to continuously to do that, and I cannot put my finger. Why is it like that? We're talking about it. I don't know when it was. Where you'll go to Dominican Republic, you'll go to Colombia, and these people have, they don't have $2 on their name, but they're always happy. They always want to do stuff. You know what I mean? There's always they work hard, but there's always they find time.
Maybe it has to do with the heat.
Maybe.
I think it's partially simplicity of their lives.
How much is a bottle again? Let's say just a bottle of whiskey.
Depends.
Give me a bottom shelf.
$30.
$30?
No. It's a little bit more now. The prices have gone up.
Bottom shelf.
Just bottom shelf.
Bullshit whiskey.
Whiskey. Now if you're talking about for Dominican Republic rum is a little bit cheaper.
They drink a lot more of aguardiente.
Yes. And that's
Colombia,
cheap.
yes.
That's cheaper than water.
How much is approximately?
Bro,
$10?
A big bottle of aguardiente, I'm
15?
talking about 2 liter of bottle, is $15.
Dude, you go. They're only making $2. You said. All right, you give me $1. You give me $1. You give me $1. You give me $1. We have a party going. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
That's why they're happy.
Yeah.
That's what it goes to what I said. The simplicity of their lives, I think, is what it is. I mean, we talk about your brother told us this, and my sister when they went to Europe, they were saying over here we live to work, or we work to be able to live. Over there they don't have that same mentality, right? Where their lives don't really revolve around their jobs and what they're doing in their careers and stuff like that. They're more about enjoying their lives outside of that.
Just working to make enough to live.
Yeah, just working just enough to make enough to live, and then be able to enjoy everything outside of work with their family and friends. And life isn't really about I think in their heads more of the business and how rich I'm gonna be in 50 years from now and what I'm trying to attain. It's more about okay, I'm in a big stable, and then I'm gonna live my life and have as much joy outside of my work as possible.
Well, I think I can afford some luxuries, I'll do it.
Well, I think the social media is changing that game though a lot. I think everyone on a social media, hustle, do this, do that, and everybody's putting their rental Lamborghinis and rental Patek Philippe's, on there saying, I just got this money. And I think there's a lot of that going on social media that's constantly making
flex.
The flexing constantly gets in a way.
But I don't think the masses, most people, I think aren't really doing that. Those are the people that want to be flexing on social media, and the people trying to create a show And I think most people aren't like that. Most people you meet on a day to day are not like that.
No, they're not. They're not. An average American, you want to know what's an average American? You go to the airport, you sit down, you take off your headphones, put your phone in your pocket, and look around. That's an average American. You know what I mean? Most people you see on social media are not average American. The ones that are like famous, the ones that are. But everyone thinks that that's what the goal is without realizing.
If you don't do that, you're not happy.
Yeah, they think that that's what the normal is because they're constantly getting fed that algorithm to them. Then they're like, well, why? How the fuck I'm not like that?
I think the world is coming to more and more of a realization of of the separation of that. I think if you would have said that maybe 7 to 10 years ago, I'd have 100% agreed with you. And like, yeah, everybody thinks that's the norm. Like most people that are on the internet. But I think the separation of that is coming is starting to become more prevalent.
It has to, right? Because bottom line is like you gotta understand that there's got to be average people. You have to have average people. You have to have poor people. And you have to have rich people. There's no way around it. Like, yeah, the percentages might be different, but you have to have them all. Otherwise, milk would cost $100 a bottle, right? Because everybody had money, and even then, I don't know, man. I think social media. But then also social media is a very interesting thing. Like there are some people, like the other day I saw this guy, I forget his name, he's Brazilian, 10 times world champion, just got his coral belt. Maybe you saw that too.
Yeah, soccer, his name.
Yeah, and I went on his
soccer,
yeah, I went on his Instagram. I mean, this guy has accomplished a lot, right? He only had 1,000 followers on his.
Yeah, a lot of what he won was on the 90s. Alexandre Soccer, I think his name.
Yeah, so
he's a badass, but a lot of what he won was on the 90s or early 2000, in a time before social media and stuff. And there's a lot of guys just like that too. So that's the era. That's the era that when titles were what determined how good you are. You win a title, that's how good you are.
This guy.
Now it's a different era. You have clowns on social media. You have people clowning for stuff. Yeah, you get engagement. You get people interested about you and wanting to see you, and that sells fights, right? It's just how it is. But I saw that in MMA, but I feel like MMA is not a martial art. And Jiu-Jitsu is a martial art, right? So I think like, I don't know, I didn't, the way I learned, the way I grew up training, it was not like talk shit to get somewhere. It's like more work your ass off, win titles to get somewhere. And then by the time I was a black belt and winning the main titles, I worked my whole life, the whole thing changed. The whole system changed where that's important, but not the main thing anymore.
You know what I find, like, that's funny that you say that, is because I even saw that in this competition that we went. There was this. He's a traveling black belt, and he goes to ADCC, does the quintets and all that stuff, right? And he was in this local competition in Sarasota for $1,500. That was the absolute bracket, right? Like if you win the absolute bracket, you get $1,500. And he goes against the blue belt, and he wins against the blue belt, and he celebrates winning against the blue belt. And blue belt actually gave him a hard time. Out of the 6 minutes, 4 minutes
of that. He was a black belt?
Yeah, he was a black belt. 4 minutes of that, the blue belt was giving him a hard time, right? Like they're actually giving him a hard time.
That just happened with Kyle now too.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the guy after the match came talking to me like, first I thought he came to shake my hand genuinely, but he came kind of like shaking the hand, but like, yeah, like I won, kind of like, see you're cheering for him. First of all, of course I'm cheering for my student, that I'm coaching my student. Second of all, okay, you won a match, but should you be that excited that you won a match against a blue belt and you're a black belt? And the guy was on him for like 3 minutes,
solid 3-4 minutes.
I was very happy. Kyle was disappointed, but I was very happy because first of all, he had the guts to do what a lot of people don't do. They fear the challenge, where he embraced that. That was good. And and then it was just weird, like how that guy acted, like he, as if that was proving something, like, of course he won. That's the most important. Like, it doesn't matter if someone show up as a white belt. Is a division that allows that. You win. But that, first of all, nobody respected the guy before the match. He was just coaching stuff, But I don't know. Like, things can get, emotion can get in the way after matches, and
To me,
people
that's
can get
almost
on
like him showing weakness. It's almost like, oh, I'm celebrating. I won against this blue belt.
because I didn't think I could win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at that point, I would have been just calm, shake the hand, and walked
It's
away.
almost
right?
self-diminishing.
Exactly. It's like,
I think I even heard his coach saying, it's cool. They shaked our hand. They're cool with it. So I don't know, but the guy probably had a whole like rivalry, or like maybe I'm thinking it more than what it was. But it looked like they were overlooking that, or they were seeing that as it was like, we're just trying to win a match, you know. Yeah, I'm coaching my blue belt. I'm trying to do my best to make that guy win. He did pretty good against a guy that was like way more experienced than him. So
yeah. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. To me, that was kind of weird, you know?
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, which is, I think it's good for Kyle. Very good for Kyle. And then maybe it's good for that guy, too, to just kind of like maybe sit down and reflect back on it and like, I don't know if he's going to go that far or not.
Yeah.
Maybe he can see this and then, you know. Maybe
And apparently the guy competes around. He does, after someone said that he does some trials and stuff. And
yeah, he travels all over. I guess that's his job. He just travels, does jiu-jitsu and competes in jiu-jitsu. That's his thing, right? Like, and I think he's down here for that. Well, I don't think he's down here for the Jits King, because Jits King is gonna have it's a $15,000 price right now this weekend. I don't know if you can make it on Saturday with us. That might be something cool to go to and watch. 155 pound category, basically. Do you know why they did only 155 and not just do an absolute or whatever? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a.
Oh, you mean they have two absolutes?
I don't know, but I think the $15,000 price is only for the 155 pounds.
Oh yeah, I don't know why. That makes no sense.
Yeah, because I've gone to the Jits King, and I've gone to Jits King when I first started doing jiu-jitsu. I was just blue belt, and that was in Clearwater. That event was very small, like maybe 40 competitors.
But this one is looking big, right? It's looking.
This one is looking big. I think that $15,000 brought a solid.
And there's a lot of like other like like the FC gym will be there. There will be fitness companies like nutrition, supplements, a lot of stuff.
People, yeah.
It's good. It's
I mean, you're gonna be there. That's number one. You know, then they're bringing what's that girl? Helene.
Helene, I think so.
She's gonna be there as well. You know that chick with the pigtails.
That John Danaher's girl.
Yeah. Well, no, she wasn't John Danaher's girl. She was winning everything, and then John Danaher pretty much like recruited her on a team after she basically like got you know, to that level.
She got there as a purple belt or as a brown belt?
Was it the purple or brown, one or the other one? Yeah, I know she got her
there.
black from him.
I think
pretty sure she got her brown from him as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, there will be more jiu-jitsu people. I don't know now, but there will be other
Can you pull up
world-class guys, I think, there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Jits King, do Tampa Jits King, just like that, just like you hear it with a Z, Jits King. Yeah, there you go. So maybe they have it advertising. But anyway, so how do you feel about these new upcoming fights, the ones that we're getting right now? Chimaev with the DDP.
Man, I'm excited to see that. That could be the beginning of Chimaev's legacy in the belt. I think people are probably putting him as a favorite to win. Maybe I'm wrong.
I wouldn't.
Why wouldn't you?
Fucking DDP just finds a way to carve a win every time. I've bet against him too much.
But he's being knocked out.
Yeah, but lately that man has just every time, no technique, no awareness, all fucking 200% grit is what he gives. And I don't know. Did
you see that thing with him?
I saw Khamzat Chimaev's fight against Kamaru Usman. I watched the whole thing, and that was a guy coming from 170, you know, and that wasn't too long ago.
Kamaru Usman is also like former champion.
Former champ, yes.
Very good.
Yeah, I understand that.
And every fight is a fight too.
I agree. I agree.
Like styles make matches, as they say.
Always.
And I think Kamaru has a very good wrestling. He was a elite wrestler, and that kind of guy to me. And also going back to what Jay asked, because I feel like I didn't give a proper answer. I was kind of like saying what makes those guys good, but I think to me, the biggest threat for those guys would be someone with a either high level ground but very good level takedowns, or high level takedowns and good enough on the ground. That guy is going to be a threat for him, and I think that's why Kamara was a threat. The fact that he was maybe not in camp and more relaxed. Sometimes that's
It was 4
good
days
for your
notice,
nervous
something
system,
like
you
that.
know? Because like training and doing a camp is always an ideal situation. But if you're in decent shape, right? I can tell you a story about that, a personal story about that. But if you're in decent shape and the opportunity presents, now just it's short notice. So yeah, the adrenaline hits you at once, right? But you have weeks where you are relaxed and the other person is tense, you know, and like there was a coach that said like once it's like getting close to tournament, it's like your body start becoming a glass because you're training so hard, and that's where injuries start happening. Is like those last weeks, you know, because you're pushing so much and there's so much tension, and I think like the combination between him being so good in wrestling and him being relaxed, I think that's exactly what made him have a good, tough fight for Shimaev. Another
That's
guy.
an interesting standpoint.
Yeah, and another guy who gave a very tough run for his money was Gilbert Burns, which is probably number one, the toughest fight.
That was the
right?
most
Tax.
competitive.
He dropped
fight.
him. He exposed him a lot of things that people thought this guy was a god.
And the third round, that is the one that decided it,
yeah,
was very close. And the most dominant round was the second
and
round.
he didn't
in that
get
fight.
striked one time before the fight. He threw so many strikes, never got hit once.
And it was like he had been hit with like less than 5 significant
like
strikes in his entire UFC
Probably
career.
less than 3.
I think it was like 3.
Yeah.
And then Gilbert hit him like 70.
Yeah. Gilbert, it was
And
a
the
good
most-
fight because he proved that he was not immortal.
And
He
Gilbert-
proved that he bleed. He proved that he
And
get
the most-
dropped.
And Gilbert should
Dominant-
have won that fucking
And the
fight to
most
me.
dominant, it was a close third round. I think it could have went either way.
Either way,
There was some things that you could say Chimaev did have a little more dominance in the third round. But
The thing is, like, we never saw Shimaev so exposed to
No.
that weights on our, like,
Yeah.
we think, but actually, maybe he done enough to win. The thing is, just so I can finish the point is, he fits that, Gilbert fits the profile that I told you.
yeah,
He's good enough standing, and he's exceptional on the ground.
right.
Camaro on a camp would also fit that thing
Standard.
because he's exceptional wrestler and good enough on the ground. So those are the guys that I think, like, if they're coming from a few wins, if a guy with that profile is coming from a few wins, has the confidence and put a crazy camp, which you know that he's not going to be behind a physical excuse, that's a guy to beat, a guy like that.
What I was gonna say is the funny part about that fight was with Gilbert and Chimaev. The most dominant round by far was the second round, which was the one that Gilbert put a hurting on him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And that was the most dominant round.
Dropped him in the end of the
Yeah.
round, right?
Dropped him. It was the most dominant round in the fight. Gilbert. It was a phenomenal round from Gilbert.
And he hasn't faced another fight like that after Gilbert or before Gilbert. That was really the one fight that he kind of went
Well,
after.
Kamaru after that.
Kamaru.
After that, and a lot of people were saying that if that fight should have been 5 rounds, first of all, and then if it was 5 rounds, that they believed Kamaru was going to have an advantage because in the third round,
Yeah, but
they were
then
saying
it's like
Hamzat was.
if.
That's a lot of if. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to say at the end. It's all if, right? That's how the fight went, and Hamzat won.
Yeah.
With DDP, I don't know. I would if I were to bet money, I would probably just put it on DDP personally.
You would put money on DDP?
I wouldn't. I'm not actually. I don't ever bet, but I'm saying if
But
I
if you
would.
had, you would put...
Gun to the head, you saying
That's
DDP?
crazy.
Yeah.
Gun to the head, you saying DDP?
Yeah.
I just
think
feel
so.
like, man, anytime
That's
DDP...
you're stealing. Jay's stealing my way to talk to my ChatGPT. I always threaten my ChatGPT like that.
No, for me, every time I watch DDP fight, I always think like his knees are gonna buckle in, you know, because his legs are just like little, like
Like that.
all it
Bow-legged.
takes just one good kick in that knee, and that knee is going in. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. I mean, his last 5 fights I've watched, I'm like, oh, he's gonna lose this. Come on, like this guy's too good, and then he just fucking wins, man. I don't know what do you want me to say, bro.
No, I think he's gonna give him a tough fight. I think he could win, but I think Shimaev is the favorite.
What are the betting odds on that, Miggy?
I would say for me, it would be 65 Shimaev, 35 him. 65% chance Shimaev win, 35% chance DDP
So
win.
Hamzat Chimaev is the favorite, minus 210. Hamzat Chimaev plus 170.
when was
Dreykus.
DDP the favorite? Never. Any of his last fights, he never was.
Probably
a favorite.
against Sean Strickland.
But I think he was. See, I always knew he was good because of watching. He was like coming up there, so I never like underestimated DDP. But I also don't think that he was never. Yes, he was always like the underdog in the eyes of people. But I don't think he was ever as much of as an underdog as he's coming for this fight. Man, this guy is very hard to beat. Very hard to beat, and I don't know. I would like to see DDP beating him and stuff, but I think that he's gonna be too much for DDP, man. And I think it's gonna take a while for someone to beat him.
How do you think he gets the win, Hamza? How do you think he gets
the way he always wins everything?
First, second round.
No, I honestly, people say he gets tired, right? But people are also getting tired. Even if if his opponents are better than him after the third round, they're also tired because they have been fucking being smashed for, especially on the first round. They also drain, and because he has that edge, now they have 2 rounds where they have a little bit more stamina. Let's play like that, right? Imagining he has a bad condition because maybe his COVID situation and like he's fixed. That's been a long time. Maybe we haven't seen him being exposed with his cardio anymore.
They're saying like that he like is very strict about where he goes because his immune system is so bad and he gets sick so easily, and like he basically doesn't go out at all. He doesn't barely leave his house, like minimal. He doesn't even go to the grocery store, like nothing, because his immune system is so bad and they're so worried about him getting sick.
Well, why is it like that? Does anyone know why it's like that? Is it maybe like a Gordon Ryan type of situation?
No, I don't know. I have no idea, but I think I would imagine that his conditioning is not going to be an issue anymore, and I think that it's going to be very hard for the guy to fight him, bro. Honestly.
Well, we're gonna see on Saturday.
Who else is one? Because I know there's another fight on that roster.
Bring up UFC this weekend.
I think if you just type UFC, it'll come up. That's also
Google has it. Dricus Du Plessis versus Hamzat Chimaev, and then so this card is not. Carlos Prates versus Jeff Neal. That's gonna be a good fight.
Oh well, Carlos is gonna win that one.
I don't know, Jeff. When he puts good pressure, he's a guy that even though he's just usually shorter arms, if he can get a rhythm, it could be a very, very interesting fight. Now I think Carlos will win. That's
favorite. Yeah.
But have you noticed that there's not a lot of guys out there that have like have you noticed there's not a lot of guys out there that don't like comes out as a 14-0, right? Like DDP is 22-2, and then you have Leon Murphy 16-1, right? And then everyone else just kind of has a bunch of like wins and losses. Like they're mainly winning, but there's not like, you look at these Dagestani Chechen guys, they're always coming in with like a 0 or a 1, not more, not less. Like they're just fucking crushing it. I don't know why it's like that. And a lot of people say that there's a conspiracy behind it, that they like pick athletes to get them those records.
But everybody does that in the beginning. I feel like I was the only guy when I fought MMA who should have done that, didn't do that. But there's a lot of everybody that I've seen, they all do that in the beginning. So I don't think that's like a mystery. That's like a lot of people doing that. I think it's props. It goes back to what I was saying, man, And a lot of those guys do lose, but they lose in between them, so they don't make it outside of the country. The ones that make outside are the ones who have been winning. So there are other guys that are on the same level, but they are losing, so they don't make it outside. But they also training, sleeping, do everything right. Then the guys who make it, they make it outside. Now they're fighting people. They are not on that with that mindset. They're not training, sleeping. They're just doing normal stuff. And then with some of those guys, they would just like demolish them.
Oh, so you were just saying even the guys that are like back home losing, bring those in. They're just gonna do just
a lot of them would do. No, they would do probably better than the average athlete. Because they're more. I would imagine they're more athletes because they have less distractions.
Because you've been all over the world, you've trained with these guys, and you've seen it firsthand. Like, you've been all over that area, right? Like
I never been to Dagestan. I've been to Chechnya, competing in Chechnya, but I've trained with like a lot of Dagestanis. I've trained people from Ingush, Dagestan, Chechnya, Kazakhstan, everywhere. Uzbekistan, some people, yeah.
So what do you think is going to be the next step now an evolution of jiu-jitsu, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's MMA, whichever route you want to take.
What I think is evolution. What do you
Mhm.
mean? Like, what's gonna be the next move? And
Maybe not necessarily the next, because like there's always like they're doing that, and that Kimura trap. That was one thing, not anymore. Then there was that what was the newest couple of things after Kimura trap that came around that people were using,
50-50,
50-50.
berimbolo, all that stuff. Those are. Yeah, but those are moves, right? You mean MMA? What is the next thing in jiu-jitsu for MMA, or what do you mean?
Just for jiu-jitsu by itself, and then maybe MMA.
I mean, I just heard the other day they said a stat that they've officially said like half guard is the most dominant position for MMA because you're able to be able to have the opportunity to control the lower half of the body as well as the top half. That is nowhere near as dominant. That side control, like full side control, is nowhere near as dominant in MMA.
So what you're saying is
But
people.
Mount is more dominant than the half guard.
So you're saying
And they're saying in MMA it's not.
Who were they?
The
For-
statistics, like the studies.
for the
they've
guy
done, I
in the
heard
top
them talking
or
about
the
this
guy in the bottom?
during the UFC event.
No. I think depending on the half guard, depending on how the guy on bottom knows how to play half guard. But as far as positioning, mount and back are better than half guard. Now,
Even in MMA, you think?
yeah, if I'm on your back and I have you flat on your face like that, how are you going to attack me?
Well, they're saying is that not being able to control the lower body is a.
Oh, but if I have two hooks in and I have you flat on your
Oh,
belly.
well, if you're talking about taking the back, that's different.
No,
I
I'm
thought
not
you
just
take- I thought you take
talking
them out.
about taking the back. I'm talking about pretty much mounting on the back and spreading. Like in Portuguese, you say spread
Well,
the
that we
chicken.
don't see that very often as we do see half guard.
Well, no, but you're okay. Then you're talking about it's a more rare position to get, but it's not the most dominant position.
Well, I don't know. This is just what they were saying. I'm not.
Well,
I'm not the
I
professional.
need to see who were saying that. So,
It was the,
Well,
the,
let
the
me
UFC
ask you this,
commentators
'cause I'm
were
confused.
mentioning it.
well, but then it's like that's just their opinion. I disagree with their opinion. I guess I don't know.
Well, I'm kind of confused when they saying half guard for who? Who's on the bottom or on the
top.
top? On
Top. Yeah, bottom half is.
There's a lot of
is
Yeah,
types
that's
of
what I'm
half
saying, like, you
guard.
getting
Like
pummeled.
there's like octopus guard, which is kind of like in a half guard. There's deep half. There's knee shield, low knee shield. There's reverse half guard, and then even within those positions, they're like wizard. You can come up with them. So it's a very subjective position. Now I can understand how this could be better than side control, for example, because in side control. In MMA, it's slippery. The guy might be able to turn and stand up, or like push off and stand up. When you have one of his legs trapped in between your legs, it's harder for him to get up. So I can see that, right? But that depends so much, Like, are you going against a jiu-jitsu guy? Are you in his half guard? His half guard bottom his game. It depends on many things,
Well,
If-
I think I think in MMA, no jiu-jitsu guy plays half guard bottom.
Okay, well, if you put everybody on the same level in jiu-jitsu, if you make everybody at least standard for jiu-jitsu, right? I can tell you half guard would not be the most dominant position. And it's probably that because of the lack of understanding from half guard from people on bottom. I think mount position, quarter mount. There you go. To me, for MMA, quarter mount is the most dominant position, which is half guard. That's a type of half guard.
Right.
Because
you
I
still
have
the ankle in.
you have my ankle. I'm almost in mount, but it's a half guard. That is very hard for me because the guy spin. You have his legs strapped, so it's not like he can go out anywhere.
More like he has your leg trapped.
Yeah, no, but
no, you have his legs trapped because you're sitting on his legs.
Okay.
Yeah, his
You're
legs are
sitting
pinned
on the
down.
side of his legs.
Right. I get
And
what
that's
you're
where you're pinning his knees. Actually, it's very easy for the guy on bottom to untrap their legs.
Right.
The person on for the guy on top to untrap his legs. The person on bottom is pretty trapped if he's sitting on the
I
side.
get what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. So I think yes, if you're talking about if that's like a half guard, quarter mount is like a half guard, that would probably be the most dominant position in MMA for grappling. After that, or right next to that, mount and back. And then if you're talking about all other guards, for sure, if you think half guard top, you still have a lot of control. But I also think like people could do more from bottom MMA. I think that's because people usually don't train on bottom because they have a certain amount of time to train per day. When they're in camp, it's
I think-
striking, get on top, ground and pound.
I think half guard from bottom is a very difficult thing to try and be effective when you're half guard bottom in MMA. I mean, if you're restricted to kind of using your legs only, because if you try with you have to bring them down, and then maybe you can go for sweeps or anything, but your arms, you can't expose your arms, like go for a deep half or something like that from bottom. You're gonna get smashed in the face. You have to either control them with your arms or use them to get them away. You can't really go for lower body or anything like that in deep half from bottom. That's why I think it's so dominant, is because you have the control on the bottom of the legs, right? You have the control on the top, which I agree with you. I think, like, if you have someone's flattened out on their stomach in back mount, that's the most dominant, 100%. Now, you don't have the option of elbows so much like you would if you were in top half or like a normal full mount, right?
Yeah,
Because
but also you don't have the guy
head.
facing you. You can punch him and he doesn't
Exactly.
know where it's coming from.
That's
right?
true. Yeah, but then also when they turn their head, they call illegal punches and all that stuff.
They call
That's
illegal
part of it.
punches, but if they turn their head, they just tell you to watch.
Yeah.
If you're throwing the punch right,
Yeah.
it's not really a fault if
Yeah,
they turn their head.
they do have like a leniency on that. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
if they're constantly turning their head, that's on them kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's the way they look at it. You're right.
Exactly.
I mean, I would agree with you. If you're most dominant, but I think the way they were saying it was because it's just not as common kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That it's the top normal half guard is way more
Well,
common.
there's a couple things too, right, Eddie? I think, like, first of all, most of the commentaries, if you talk about DC and stuff, I'll be quiet because he made a lot of things, but a lot of those guys don't know a lot about it. And also, they are also maybe trying to simplify things for people on the TV. Because you can get too complex with grappling because people will not understand what a knee shield is, what a reverse half
When they
guard is.
said
So
it,
they
though-
just have to say half guard because that includes quarter mount, that includes reverse half guard.
When they mentioned it, though, it wasn't like their opinion. It was more they were referencing like a study or some kind of statistic or whatever it was.
Where the fight ends and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, to me,
But again, I think that a lot of fights end there because people don't train enough on bottom. Their jiu-jitsu evolved a lot. MMA, I agree, but mostly on top. People on bottom, they are not really good defending. They don't have they don't have a lot of idea of how to use frames and defend punches. They a lot of times try to just hold down, especially heavyweights, to stand up. They're clueless. So yes, on that case, stay on half guard, finish. But is that more dominance or is there lack of understanding from the person?
I get
on
what
bottom?
you're understanding.
You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
I think when you look at grappling and then you study each position and you see what position people get out fast, you see that people from half guard who very often sweep, take the back and stuff, but when they're mounting or taking,
it's all about escape.
yeah, they're a lot more shut down, you know. So I think, like, yes, it's right, but it's mostly because, in my opinion, because lack of knowledge from people on bottom, because people only have so much time a day to work and train. Are they gonna train taekwondo kicks? No, they're gonna train striking. What's gonna happen in the match? They want to get on top, score, ground and pound, win. They can finish good. They're not gonna be a lot of times putting the time on bottom, working from the bottom, because if you're on bottom, you're already kind of losing MMA anyway. So takes time to learn how to play guard. It takes more time to learn how to be good on guard. And people don't have the time to master that, you know. So yeah, in a way, you're right. But I think the reason is really because of lack of knowledge.
I get what you're saying.
And plus, like, if you're looking at quarter guard, to me, quarter guard, especially in the beginning when you're just starting to play quarter guard. I mean, later down the road, if you continue playing quarter guard, you can get really good at quarter guard. But quarter guard to me is more of a
You
Hail
mean like
Mary.
quarter mount?
No,
like
when
that
you're
one?
playing a quarter guard, you just got somebody, like, you're on the bottom and you just have their foot,
Oh,
their
yeah,
knee
yeah.
is out. To me, that's like more of a Hail Mary. I'm like holding on to your foot so you don't score on me. That's
Yeah.
literally what I'm doing on this
Yeah.
one.
I mean, once you can get your arms on it, that changes a
That's-
lot. But
yes.
if your arms are here and you just have the foot,
Yeah,
you're
the-
hoping there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're just hoping
stalling.
they're
Yeah.
not gonna pass. You're
I mean-
stalling and you're hoping. To
Yeah,
get
I mean
out.
the quarter guard offers you your escapes, right? Like, I mean, anytime I'm in quarter guard, I'm gonna go for deep half and try and go forward, back, whatever, and start playing from deep half. And I know some people like to put like both hands under, like you said, and escape through the bottom or whatever. But it's just a step one, I think, to start opening your doors for escapes from being mounted.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I play both. I play half guard and quarter guard all the time, but quarter guard is more of like okay, like this is what I got, and I usually try not
It's
to
what
go
you
into
got,
it.
yeah.
And you usually try not to go specifically into it. I'll do that. Let's say if I've got a dominant position, if I have my arm,
Because
on
the
your
guy's
thigh or
already so
something
many steps ahead.
ahead,
Yep,
like
yep.
just
You're just trying to keep him from advancing more. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all. The bottom quarter guard. That's all it is. Is you trying to keep him
Or
from
trying to
advancing
improve
more.
back to a better
Yep.
neutral half guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. And
You're
most
not
of the
really
time, that's
trying
what
to
it is.
attack from there.
No.
You're trying to improve yourself from half
To
guard
another
so you can
position,
attack.
so you can start to
Yeah,
attack.
Yeah, that's what it is. Usually pushing the knee back in, and then okay,
Yeah.
now we're reset back into half guard. Let's. play
That's
from it.
when the lapel stuff helps a lot when you're in that situation, because now when you have only his foot, that's the only thing you're holding on to. You pass the lapel. If you're in the gi, you pass the lapel to your arm. Now he's stuck in there.
Okay, I mean, now you're basically like making a fake half guard. with
Yeah, I
the
mean,
lapel.
but even more stuck than your legs could do, because you have a lapel wrapped around his legs, right? So now he's stuck. You have your foot, and then you have the higher part of his leg with the lapel, and he's stuck there. He cannot just ignore the lapel. That's like a shield, right? If he tries to force, then you fall and you come up. But you don't really have that in no gi.
Yeah.
So you have to be good in that dog fight. You know, when the guy frees the knee, you have to come behind that leg already. You have to recognize once you're gonna lose the regular half guard, the guy's advancing to free his knee. One step ahead, just either get behind him, bail, recover guard. Because if you let him get there, that's it. You know, he gets there now, he's gonna shut you down. You know, you have to either anticipate and get to a deeper position or bail altogether. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's good for today. We start wrapping it up, boys. Thank you for coming, Yuri.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
We have some
we'll do this again next week.
names for this segment. You know, we're talking about.
Oh
what,
yeah,
I
yeah.
I looked up the name that you asked me. It's already taken.
It is.
Yeah.
Damn it. So we gotta come up with a new one.
Oh,
We can.
We'll
we
figure
can, we
something
can go
out.
with
I'm gonna
Congre-
be asking.
those guys are not even like rice and beans, bro.
We can go with congrejo. Try congrejo. Congrejo, that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
It's the dish is called congrejo. Is
Or
basically-
moro, arroz moro.
or arroz moro. But
We'll find a
Why is
name,
it doing
guys. We'll
that?
find a name.
yeah, for this segment. But yeah, for stay tuned, guys. For next Thursday, we're gonna bring back the boys again, and that's gonna be our basically last episode or the one before.
We have another
we'll,
one.
We'll have another one, and then we have 3 more episodes left until we go on a little vacation, and then we'll go from there.
Alrighty,
Anyway,
guys.
thanks again, Yuri, for coming in.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you,
you,
brother.
guys.
And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.